We are following a developing story this morning. For the first time ever, 2 Chinese military planes have been intercepted in international waters near Alaska. The Chinese bombers were accompanied by 2 Russian long-range bombers yesterday. ABC senior Pentagon reporter Louis Martinez has the details. Louis, Russian military activity has been common in this region, but having Chinese planes there is unusual. So what are officials saying about that?
And it is very unusual, which is one of the reasons why the NORAD actually pushed out this information really quickly. But it is very uncommon. Actually, this is the first time that Chinese aircraft have accompanied Russian bombers in these flights. But it's really uncommon and kind of shows the growing bonds between both China and Russia militarily. This is something that developed after Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Listen, you lover of pleasure. Lounging in your security and saying to yourself, I am and there is none besides me. Listen.
Continuing our border coverage, agents seeing a significant increase in migrants that have made the difficult and costly journey here to the U.S. all the way from China.
In this sector alone, Border Patrol right now is apprehending Chinese nationals at record numbers. Now, compared to last year, they're already seeing a 900% spike in Chinese national apprehensions.
Border Patrol agents arrested more than 24,000 Chinese people for crossing the U.S. southern border illegally over the past year through September. That's more than 10 times higher than the previous year.
Tonight, intelligence from top-secret U.S. spy planes is providing startling details about China's spy operations. We are learning that images taken of the spy balloons by high-altitude U-2 planes show in detail 5 antennas and huge solar panels, the kind of technology that gave the Chinese not just the ability to listen to U.S. communications and to pinpoint exactly where they were coming from, who they were coming from. All of this especially alarming as the balloon passed over sensitive military sites. Of course, we now know there have been other balloons where that one came from.
The Wall Street Journal is also reporting a suspicious fleet of drones flew over Langley Air Force Base in Virginia for 17 days last year. After flying over Langley Air Force Base, the drones headed south over an area that includes the home base for the Navy's SEALs Team 6 and Naval Station Norfolk.
Maria, this is Spy Balloon 2.0. Look, the drones as they've been described, there's not a whole lot of mystery here. I mean, the attributes that they had, the speed that they're flying at, the altitude, the size of them, they're entirely consistent with drone technology that Russia and China have.
This is the Camino del Diablo, the Devil's Highway. It's restricted airspace reserved only for military aircraft. But during a 3-month period early last year, something else was sharing the skies with those fighter pilots. Something that was not supposed to be out here. That something, aerial drones. According to FAA incident data we reviewed.
A very unusual sight captured on camera. Japanese and local astronomers say the Chinese satellite was recently seen beaming down green lasers over the islands.
FBI Director Christopher Wray sounding the alarm over China. Let's listen.
China's hackers are positioning on American infrastructure in preparation to wreak havoc and cause real-world harm to American citizens and communities if and when China decides the time has come to strike.
China says it has fired an intercontinental ballistic missile into the Pacific Ocean. Now, this is Beijing's first such test in over 40 years. Under Xi Jinping's presidency, China has bolstered its nuclear capabilities and revamped the People's Liberation Army's rocket force.
An uproar among the kingdoms like nations massing together. They come from faraway lands, from the ends of the heavens. Listen.
It started before dawn. Ukraine woke to explosions around the capital, Kiev. It was the same across the country. These pictures from Kharkiv in the east.
Tehran dubbed it Operation Honest Promise. Waves of drones and missiles launched at Israel over 5 hours.
an explosion in the border town of Kaesong in North Korea. More roads and rail lines connecting the two Koreas were blown up, with the North mobilizing its troops.
Tonight, the US confirming a potentially dangerous escalation in the Ukraine war. The White House says Kim Jong-un has sent at least 3,000 soldiers into eastern Russia, traveling by boat from North Korea. Xi Jinping is running out of time, because he has promised to reunite Taiwan with mainland China by the year 2027.
Taiwan detected over 150 Chinese aircraft around the island, a record high for a single day. 17 warships were also spotted.
Today, U.S. help is on the way, as the first shipment of 200,000 pounds of lethal American military aid arrived in Ukraine overnight, backing up a country bracing for war.
We do have some breaking news out of the Middle East. We've learned that the United States is sending additional troops to the Middle East in response to a sharp spike in violence between Israel and Hezbollah forces in Lebanon that has raised the risk of a greater regional war.
The arrival of the USS Theodore Roosevelt in South Korea, the nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, reaching port just days after Russian President Putin's warning about arming North Korea.
The U.S. flies a long-range B-1B bomber over the Korean peninsula for its first precision-guided bombing drill with South Korea in 7 years.
As tensions between the U.S. and China continue to increase, America is sending thousands of troops to Australia and building infrastructure at key locations in the country. In a strategy to prepare for a potential war over Taiwan, the U.S. is increasing its military presence here to a level not seen since World War II.
The U.S. is delivering its first military aid package to Taiwan in an effort to deter any possible future aggression from China. Officials say the $345 million package includes training and weapons from U.S. stockpiles. It also comes as America gives military assistance to Ukraine.
This is the biggest military exercise in history.
It is. You have 29 nations with all common interests that are here operating together so that we are better able to deter conflict or aggression and ready to counter that if required.
Tonight, a brazen display of Russian military force just over 100 miles from Florida's coast. Russia's longtime ally, Cuba, welcoming 4 Russian warships, including a nuclear-powered submarine with a 21-cannon salute.
New images of Cuba's electronic eavesdropping bases have been captured from space and are believed to be linked to China. This is according to a new report from the Center for Strategic and International Studies. The report highlights 4 recently upgraded electronic spying facilities in Cuba, including 3 near the country's capital of Havana. These facilities are located in the distant vicinity of at least 7 American military bases in the southeastern seaboard, including the USS Naval Base at Guantanamo Bay.
A noise on the mountains, like that of a great multitude.
Moscow has asserted that it will consider responding with nuclear weapons if the West allows Ukraine to strike targets deep inside Russia with long-range weapons. The changes are widely seen as an attempt by Putin to draw a red line for the United States and its allies.
Is this another bluff from Vladimir Putin, or is it for real?
A big reversal. President Biden will now let Ukraine use long-range missiles supplied by the U.S. to hit inside Russia. Until now, the president had resisted this position, concerned it could escalate Russia's war in Ukraine into something even larger.
Ukraine fired 8 American-made ATACMS into Russia, say U.S. officials. This video appears to show a launch, though we can't verify it. The target was a military facility in the Bryansk region of southern Russia, according to the Russian Defense Ministry.
A lot of people saying that this was the red line that Russia had warned about. Joe Biden deciding to cross it with literally weeks, months left in his presidency.
Russia has unleashed an intercontinental ballistic missile, the first time such a weapon has ever been used in anger, in what appears to be a revenge strike.
Fox News alert now, the former commander-in-chief of the Ukrainian army making the grim declaration World War III has officially begun as the country faces pressure from North Korea and Iran. Now Russia retaliating with new ballistic missiles after Biden gave Ukraine the green light to fire long-range attack missiles into Russia.
In a seismic shift of military strategy, Germany is reportedly crafting plans for the rapid deployment of nearly 1 million troops along its eastern flank.
While Germany accelerates its defense readiness, neighboring Nordic nations have taken an equally ominous path. Swedish citizens were handed eerie survival pamphlets titled "If Crisis or War Comes," echoing Finland and Norway's similar warnings of potential calamity.
Biden may give Ukraine Tomahawk missiles now, even after this warning shot from Russia.
BBC has confirmed reports that the Biden administration will soon provide Ukraine with anti-personnel landmines. The explosive devices, which are banned by most countries, will be used to help prevent Russian advances within Ukrainian territory.
Ukraine has struck another target deep inside of Russia. They hit some kind of munitions depot.
Several officials have even suggested that Mr. Biden could return the nuclear weapons to Ukraine that were taken from it after the fall of the Soviet Union.
And we have some very concerning news coming out of the Biden administration. The Biden administration is considering giving Ukraine nuclear weapons.
NATO's recent declaration on the possibility of preemptive strikes against Russian territory has intensified the ongoing conflict. We must strike first, Bauer asserted, highlighting the shift from NATO's historical policy of waiting to be attacked.
Meanwhile, Russia has commenced mass production of nuclear bomb shelters.
These bomb shelters are designed to protect against radiation and natural disasters, and they're now being mass-produced in Russia. The announcement coming as US President Joe Biden's administration agreed to allow Ukraine to fire American long-range missiles deep into Russia.
Oh, also, North Korea prepared to send 100,000 troops to Ukraine. Awesome. This is really good news.
I can't say that I really know what people do and don't know about EMPs.
They don't know much. If they think that the Chinese spy balloon was just doing Google Earth's job, then, we really got to break it down here.
The first way that we would use a nuclear weapon is as an EMP. So you would send it, you'd launch it, the whole world would see it coming, right? But then you would actually detonate at altitude. And you would detonate at altitude so that it would send a very large, widespread, conical EMP that would short the fuses and communication devices of everything within its reach. And then you'd basically have neutralized command, communications, and relay capabilities. And then you would move in with your attacking force.
How many nuclear missiles can be stopped?
Let me tell you about our powerful interceptor system. First of all, we have 44 interceptor missiles, total, period, full stop. Let me repeat, 44. Earlier, we were talking about Russia's 1,670 deployed nuclear weapons. How are those 44 interceptor missiles going to work, right? And the fact that interception is even possible is really remarkable, but it's only possible 50% of the time.
During its mid-course phase, a typical Russian ICBM, like the R-36 Satan, can release what seems to be 50 nuclear warheads. All of a sudden, one ICBM has turned into 50 different moving targets, which means a single ICBM with 10 deployed warheads can easily overwhelm the United States' entire ground-based interceptors and possibly detonate on American soil.
How many people would a nuclear war between the United States and Russia kill?
So I'm coming back at you with a very dark answer and a very big number. And that number is 5 billion people.
The Pentagon has conducted numerous simulations of potential nuclear conflicts, and the results are almost always the same. Nuclear Armageddon.
Fair enough, yeah, because we're going to move gas, because right now it's at its alert setting, like if we were actually going to nuclear war.
You have been weighed on the scales and found wanting. Whoa. Whoa. City, you mighty city of Babylon. In 1 hour, your doom has come. Come out of her, my people. For her sins are piled up to heaven, and God has remembered her crimes. Wail. Howl, you city. Give her as much torment and grief as the glory and luxury she gave herself. fallen is Babylon the Great. Surely the sovereign Lord does nothing without revealing his plan to his servants, the prophets.
January 17th and 18th of this year, 2007. What God has revealed to me in regard to this prophecy is in regard to the reformation of the Soviet Union. God brought the first Soviet Union to an end, and He will not allow the second Soviet Union to stand. The fourth vision shows the movement of the Russian troops into eastern Ukraine. God has shown me where the 8 nuclear bombs will fall in eastern Ukraine. This will be the area of Russia that will be destroyed in the war. Far eastern Siberia will also be nuclear bombs that will explode.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has ordered plans to be developed for major state-run companies to relocate their headquarters from Moscow to other parts of the country by October. Putin suggested that companies should prioritize Siberia, the Urals, and the Far East.
The area black is what will be destroyed in Belarus.
Tonight, as Ukraine's counteroffensive in the east grinds forward, Russia raising the nuclear stakes and moving tactical nuclear warheads to its neighbor and ally, Belarus.
What parts of America are going to be destroyed?
This vision, I watched the hand of God, because God said, I will not let utter annihilation take place in this nation. In the latter days, I will gather the wicked who have no heart to repent. I will gather them as I gathered the animals into Noah's ark. And I shut the door. I will gather them into cities that are marked for utter destruction. They will be in massive conferences and conventions. They will be parading down the streets in the nude in all their philosophies and all their demands and their haughtiness when the bombs hit. And you will see them no more. If you don't believe that, that's Psalms chapter 37. You will look for them, the Word of God says, and they will be ashes under your feet. In that vision, I saw missiles coming up over the coastal range. They were cruise missiles. God is going to have areas marked across this nation where no penetration will be. They will not be hurt. Kings of the earth have set themselves in array against the Lord and against His anointed. But the Lord shall sit in the heavens. Will He chew His nails to the quick and say, oh no, they're going to destroy all my people and I can't do a thing about it? It doesn't say that, people. It says He is going to sit in the heavens and laugh.
He said, Dumitru, I brought you to this country because this country will burn. So why'd you bring me here to burn and then let me die in jail in my own country? He said, Dumitru, be quiet. Get beside me. You're not allowed to speak from now on. I got beside the angel brothers. He'd just say, this is California. This is Las Vegas. What I have shown you is that Sodom and Gomorrah Gomorrah. Its sin has reached God. And God has decided to punish it through fire. And one day it will burn. He came and showed me New York. This is New York. It is also a Sodom and Gomorrah. And one day it will burn. He came and he showed me Florida. This is Florida, he said. This is as Sodom and Gomorrah. And one day it will burn. I said, what will you do with the church though? He said, many churches have left me. Tell them to stop sinning and to repent. And all of those who will stop sinning and who will repent, God will save in the day of trouble.
Then suddenly I saw from the Atlantic and from the Pacific and out of the Gulf rocket-like objects that seemed to come up like fish leaping out of the water. High into the air they leaped, each heading into a different direction, but all headed towards the United States. Then suddenly, the rockets which had leaped out of the oceans like fish all exploded at once. The explosion was ear-splitting. The next thing which I saw was a huge ball of fire. And then to my ears came another sound, a sound of distant singing. It was God's own people who were singing and dancing and shouting with joy, safe from all the harm which had come upon the earth.
In the last days, God says, I will pour out my spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy, your young men will see visions, your old men will dream dreams.
It was horrible what I saw just now. Okay, and what I saw just now, it was planes that were invading the United States. They came to bomb us, okay? My papa, he's had dreams as well, okay, where he's seen, planes, he's seen Chinese helicopters, he's seen them landing at the Outer Banks.
The Lord has shown me that the United States is going to be attacked by China and Russia. North Korea and Iran have something to do with it also.
In a counter to Western fronts like NATO and the EU, a new power axis is emerging among Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea.
And what I saw happen is there's an EMP first, and the power goes out. I saw Central Florida hit. I saw New York City near Manhattan hit. I saw Washington, D.C. near the Capitol building hit. I saw Central United States hit. I saw Los Angeles hit. Then I saw one hit San Francisco near the Golden Gate kind of area and the Bay Area there. Then I saw another one hit Seattle, Washington. And I dreamed it a second time, the exact same scenario. These missiles hitting the same cities, all launched from the sea. And then I fell asleep and I dreamed it a third time. I dreamed that Donald Trump selects the targets. You know, maybe he runs again and wins. And
Donald Trump will become the 47th president of the United States.
And that's when that happens. I don't know how that works, but I saw Washington, D.C. vaporized. And Donald was vaporized with it. My 4-year-old grandson, he was bouncing on a mattress and he said, Mama, we go up when the missiles come down. And she's like, excuse me? And he says, we go up when the missiles come down. And she said, what who told you this? And he says, my sky teacher, the man with the white beard and hair, and he has flames in his eyes. And he's 4 years old. He'd never heard that, ever.
There was parachuters coming down, and then they were shooting on the way down, and that just like you would see in the movie, the Red Dawn movies that are out there. Same thing. I'm telling you, at some point, we are going to get attacked on our soil. And I believe it's going to involve the nukes that I just talked about. It's going to involve the Red Dawn type of attacks.
It was obvious that America was being invaded. They were parachuting down into our neighborhoods so that they can enter our homes and take us captive.
And I want to say, as far as the eye can see, I've seen like battalions of Chinese forces. It's pretty detailed, about how it all unravels, for those that are left behind and have to suffer the tribulation. Obviously, this was already at the halfway point of the three, because when I asked the people in the dream how long had they been in that hiding, and they said 3.5 years.
After much of America and Russia are destroyed, at the beginning of the tribulation period, it frees China up at the middle of the tribulation period to try to conquer the United States. The Antichrist tries to conquer the world, including the Africans, the Europeans, the Chinese. They are going to try to conquer the world. The Europeans and Africans will hit Texas from the Gulf. The Chinese will hit Texas from the Pacific side. God told me San Antonio will fall to the Chinese, but they are going to be defeated.
I make known the end from the beginning, from ancient times, what is still to come.
God brought the first Soviet Union to an end, and He will not allow the second Soviet Union to stand.
People hated me. Let's kill this guy. He's an American. He's doing it because he's an American. How would you like to be an American in Ukraine telling them all of eastern Ukraine is going to be destroyed? The Russians are going to attack. They're going to capture eastern Ukraine. And then there's going to be a nuclear war. And all of eastern Ukraine will be destroyed by 8 American nuclear weapons. How would you like to tell that story? When God said that the Russians would be invited into Ukraine, well, whenever Yanukovych, who was the president of Ukraine, when he was kicked out, he immediately went over to Russia, and the next day he gave an official invitation as president of Ukraine. And immediately that day on the news, it was broadcast all over the news, all over Russia. I have much information, exactly what's going to happen. He was telling me things nobody else knows, nobody. All of America, he opened it up before me, and even way up into Canada. I couldn't see west of the Rockies, and I couldn't see Florida, but all the rest of America was opened up to me. And I saw the nuclear missiles that were coming in. First city that will be destroyed will be Chicago, Illinois. The second city to be destroyed will be Detroit. The third will be Cleveland, Ohio. The fourth will be Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The next city, St. Louis, Missouri. It breaks my heart to say that. The next will be Memphis, Nashville, Tennessee, New Orleans, Denver, Phoenix, Little Rock, Arkansas. So I saw those ICBMs, and God gave me another dream with 2 flights of Russian medium-range bombers penetrating American airspace. And their missiles, their cruise missiles, were launched at the northeastern part of the United States. The main safety zone will be Texas, Oklahoma, and the northern plains. He said in West Texas, I have placed water under the ground to give Americans water to drink during the 7-year tribulation period. America will never, I will tell you this, what God has shown me, America will never ever accept the mark of the beast. And at the midpoint of the tribulation period, the Antichrist will attack many countries, and he will attack the American remnant. The Europeans and Africans will hit Texas from the Gulf. The Chinese will hit Texas from the Pacific side. They will come in from Canada. They will try to take the airport in Grand Rapids. Rapid City, South Dakota.
Well, they will be defeated. The Antichrist will be defeated. And then at the very end of the 7 years, Armageddon, and that's the Antichrist one last time trying to overcome the nations, which would be Western Ukraine, Switzerland, the United States.
And one day he said, you go to the computer and you study George Washington. Okay. So I went to the computer, and you know what came on first? George Washington at Valley Forge.
George Washington said, I saw, and all of these nations were gathered against the American remnant. He said, and the battle was still in jeopardy. The Americans were in the field. They were fighting against the Antichrist. He said, and all of a sudden I looked up and I saw the Messiah, and he came back not just to deliver the Israeli remnant, but the American remnant who refused to give way to the Antichrist, to accept the mark of the beast. Millions of Americans who are left behind will be repenting. Of course, many will die during the nuclear war. He said, only 1/10 of America will be left when this is all over. America, my friend, will never be conquered. Listen to this prophet and minister of God. Will never, ever be conquered by the Antichrist. No. And God told me, and don't be offended at what I'm telling you. God says during the 1,000-year millennial reign, I'm going to enlarge the territory of America. And Texas will extend all the way from the Gulf all the way to the Pacific Ocean. And a phrase will develop at that time, oh, to be blessed like Texas. And also God told me during the 1,000-year millennial reign, at the beginning, the name of the United States will be changed. It will be changed to the Christian United States of America.
And there he is, President-elect.
There are lots of code tables because there is a nuclear strike and then there is an invasion. That invasion includes Russia and China. Now, I'm not making predictions. What I'm showing you is things encoded in a 3,000-year-old text. This all started with a table I found almost 5 years ago at this point called the China Invasion Tables. And as I added more terms to it, you see that it gets a lot bigger and the odds go way up. In this case, 11 billion to 1. That this invasion from China would come through Canada.
They will come in from Canada.
The years in there are the years when I found the table, not the years that the invasion was supposed to happen. Next table, this one is almost 40 billion to 1 odds that it's not random chance. I will protect skip of 1. That means it's in the plain text. I will protect skip of 1 in the plain text. What else is at a skip of 1? The remnant, the third war. So I will protect the remnant in the third war.
When Obama was president, he created a 40-year container terminal lease between the Port of Long Beach and a Chinese corporation based in Hong Kong. Signed that agreement in 2012, giving China control of America's second largest container port. This was regarded as a violation of the Monroe Doctrine, and when Trump came to power, one of his first big moves was to get the communist Chinese out of the Port of Long Beach. But the damage was done. 4 years in between, the Chinese were able to position and bring in containers and containers of whatever they wanted. So a lot of the staging for a future war was a result of this treason by Obama. So this first one talks about the Monroe Doctrine, specifically related to that. Obama being a traitor, practicing deceit. This, for me, clearly links Obama's actions to this future invasion. Conscription, which is the draft, death, battle, in the Port of Long Beach. Joseph Biden and the remnant. It's in the USA. The third war starts in Kiev.
There will be 2 evacuations of Kiev. The second evacuation, people flee the nuclear attack.
I did in this table see whether START was in here, and it is, and it's right in this area, and that deception is linked to all of this. Those are only the first couple of what is a massive stack of code tables.
We are following a developing story this morning. For the first time ever, 2 Chinese military planes have been intercepted in international waters near Alaska.
The U.S. has decided to monitor the balloon instead of shooting it down, even though it's apparently still gathering intelligence as we speak.
A suspicious fleet of drones flew over Langley Air Force Base in Virginia for 17 days.
A Chinese satellite was recently seen beaming down green lasers over the islands.
New images of Cuba's electronic eavesdropping bases have been captured from space and are believed to be linked to China.
Border Patrol agents arrested more than 24,000 Chinese people.
Our sub-China word of the day is Changtangang, Port of Long Beach.
There is a gun for roughly every man, woman, and child in America.
flood at the time of Noah wasn't a kick in the bucket to what's getting ready to take place on this planet. Do not be left behind. Right. You need your children, your grandchildren, your friends, everybody. We don't want anybody left behind. We must be about the evangelization of this planet.
Remember this. Keep it in mind. Take it to heart, you rebels. Surely the day is coming. It will burn like a furnace. All the arrogant and every evildoer will be stubble, and that day that is coming will set them on fire. Not a root or a branch will be left to them. But for you who revere my name, the Sun of Righteousness will rise with healing in its rays.
Son of the Republic. What you have seen is thus interpreted. 3 great perils will come upon the Republic. The most fearful is the third. But in this greatest conflict, the whole world united shall not prevail against her.